Hello everyone, today is 30th of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, in today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper and the good articles from the Indian Express Explained section also we will be taking up. Guys, please do hit the like button if you like our initiative. Please do subscribe to the channel and please spread the initiative. Now friends, taking up the overview of the articles that we are going to take. So this is the Indian Express Explained section, and guys, here we can see that the all India quota that has been extended. So guys, into this direction central government had come out with an important direction. We will see what has happened. Then guys, the IPO rush, not very much relevant for the UPSC examination. Then guys, this particular article, Amagad Fort, it is just talking about that how the saffronization is being carried, nothing very much substantial for the UPSC. So guys, this NEET and all India quota issue we will be seeing. Then guys, going to the Hindu newspaper, so this is the page number 1. Here guys, we can see that nothing very much important is there. Again, this particular OBC quota has been mentioned. We will club it. Then guys, here we can see that a judge has been killed into the Dhanbad, and we can see here that the state of a statelessness is very much rampant. And into this particular direction, guys, even the Chief Justice of India and the Supreme Court had expressed a kind of a resentment, and they are investigating this particular matter. Then guys, moving to the next page. So into the city section, guys, nothing very much important with respect to the UPSC has been there. The regional issues has been mentioned. You can completely skip it. Guys, we come to the editorial page. Now this particular page is talking about the divergence between the US and India onto the visit of the Secretary of State. We will see that what has happened. Then guys, this particular article talks about the cyber attacks which had happened into the past. Guys, basically it is giving a kind of a very leisure kind of account that okay, what hacks had happened into what year, etc. Guys, with respect to UPSC, much substance is not there. You can clearly avoid it. However, guys, this particular article, it is talking about the trafficking in India. Some of the good stats have been there, and the draft anti-trafficking bill has also been mentioned. It is a good article. We will see. Then, guys, this particular article talks that why India needs to prioritize the vaccination of the adult population. Into this particular respect, guys, yesterday we have seen an IMF report also where it has been seen that for improving the sentiments, business environment, the vaccination needs to be driven, and even IMF provides that the countries which had improved it, they have doing well. However, guys, moving to the next page, this particular article is talking about the Taliban and the situation into the Afghanistan. We will see that what has happened here. Then, guys, this particular article, it is talking about the compulsory vaccination. Now, guys, on to the compulsory vaccination, the matter is very much evolving. Even few days back, when the Arunachal Pradesh government came out with the ground that the people who have not been vaccinated, when they were banned to come into the state, Supreme Court said that such kind of thing are irrational. Then, guys, moving to the next page, we can see that here again the US India convergence has been mentioned. We will see what has happened. Then, guys, the moratorium onto the use of Pegasus, we will see what has happened. Then, guys, moving to the next page, here we can see that much of the political news are there. The disruption again into the parliament is going on, which is a very sorry state of affairs both from the ruling as well as the opposition parties. Then, guys, moving to the next page, here we can see that Iran nuclear deals, they can't go indefinitely. So we will see that what has happened here. Then, guys, how China is accusing US of meddling in its affairs. We'll see that what has happened here. Then, guys, onto this particular page, we can see that the engineering course into 11 languages and some of the reforms into the direction of NEP has been initiated. We will see that what all has happened into this particular direction. Other things are not very much important. Then, guys, moving on to business page. Into the business page, we can see that the crowding out has been talked. What is this crowding out, crowding in? We will discuss. And then, guys, here the V-shape, K-shape recovery has been talked about. So we will see. Then, guys, the other news are not very much important. The corporate news, etc., has been mentioned. Not very much important. And then comes the sports page. Nothing very much relevant here also. So, guys, that is all about the today's newspaper overview. And now let's discuss all these articles in detail. Now, guys, starting up with the today's GS quote. So today we will be taking the quote from the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. Now, into this quote, Gandhi ji had defined the true meaning of the happiness. Gandhi ji says, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Now, guys, if you see this particular, the second part of the quote, that is what you think, what you say, and what you do, when they are into the harmony, you develop a sense of integrity, because integrity means a kind of a integration of your thought, of your speech, and your actions. So, guys, here the Gandhiji is clearly equating the happiness with the quality of integrity. And guys, clearly happiness can be achieved by the integrity, because integrity brings a moral perfection into one's personality, and that moral perfection brings the contentment, and contentment ultimately leads to the happiness. So developing the quality of integrity, developing a quality that what you think, what you say, and what you do, when they are into the consonance, you will be reaching this particular state of happiness. Guys, we can utilize this particular idea into the questions related to the GS paper number 4, as under the GS paper number 4 there are the values which have been mentioned, as well as there is the topic of the lessons from the lives of great leaders, teachers and reformers. There we can utilize. Moreover friends, into the UPSC, the question has been asked that what do you mean by happiness? Now into these kind of questions, you should not give a very simplistic definition that the happiness might be the materialism, it might be success in terms of money, fame, etc. Rather, you need to put into the spiritual pursuits such as explained by the Gandhiji. So please do utilize it. And now guys, let's discuss the newspaper articles one by one. Now friends, taking up the first article. This article has been taken from the Indian Express Explained section, as well as the Hindu newspaper page number 1. And this article here we have clubbed both, and it will be important for our GS paper number 2 under the topics related to the social justice. Now guys, what has happened here? The central government has taken an important decision with respect to the affirmative action. Now guys, first of all, the affirmative action includes a set of policies by which government aims to bring more equity into the society. Guys, many a times we see that there are certain sections who are backward or who had faced some historical injustices, such as the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBCs. Now government is giving them the reservation. So reservation is a type of an affirmative action. So affirmative action brings more equity into the society. Now guys, what has happened here? This particular matter pertains to the NEET, and it pertains to the quota that has been given to the OBCs and the EWS, economically weaker sections, into the medical seats into the NEET. We will understand this thing from the very basic background. Now guys, first of all, see, when we talk about the medical education into the India, until the year 2016, there was all India pre-medical test, as well as there were the state government medical entrance test also. If you clear any one of them, you will get an admission into a medical college. However guys, in 2016, Supreme Court upheld the section number 10D of the Indian Medical Council Act and provided that from now onwards, the NEET will be the one uniform test for all the medical admissions. Guys, earlier also the NEET came in 2003, but it was later discontinued. And meanwhile, when again government tried to introduce the NEET, there was many of the protest also, but finally Supreme Court upheld it in 2016, and from that the medical college admissions are happening through the NEET exam. So guys, there is NEET UG as well as NEET PG. Earlier this NEET examination was to be conducted by the CBSE, but now guys it has been carried by the NTA, that is the National Testing Agency. It conducts this examination. Now guys, when we talk about the medical college, obviously they are located into the different states. Now guys, the state government, they had reserved a chunk of seats into these medical colleges for the students belonging to that particular state. To their own domicile resident students, they have reserved the seats. Now this particular thing was becoming problematic, because what will happen if a student belonging from some different state, for example, if a student belonging from Kerala wants to take an admission into a college which is into the Gujarat? So guys, into this particular direction, what happened in 1986, AIQ, All India Quota, was introduced. Now guys, this All India Quota simply means that there needs to be the domicile free merit based opportunities for the medical aspirants of a state to study in a college in another state. It was provided that under the UG, at least 15% of the seats, and under the PG, at least 50% of the seats into the more medical colleges are allocated to the AQI. It means that a student from any state could come and could study on it. So this AQI was started in 1986. Now guys, it has been provided that in 2007, Supreme Court came out with the important judgment, and it provided that within the AQI category, earlier it was purely merit based. So within the AQI, the reservation was given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. here you can see that the 15% of the reservation was given for the scheduled caste and 7.5% reservation was given to the scheduled tribe. Fine. Now guys, this particular judgment was given into the Abhay Nath case. Now after that, some more things had happened. For example, in 2007, the government passed the Central Educational Institution Reservation Act, and as per this act, it has provided that 27% reservation will be given to the OBC candidates across all the central educational institutions. Number one. Number two, guys, what has happened in 2019, we have seen that the 101 Constitutional Amendment Act has been passed, and after it, 10% quota has been given to the EWS, economically weaker section candidates. Reservation has been given to them in all the central education institutions. So guys, these two things had happened. But guys, since then we have seen that into this all India quota, though SC and STs have been given the reservation, but the OBCs and the EWS have not been given the reservations, though both of them have been given reservations at the central educational institutions, but not under the AIQ quota. Now guys, into this particular category, what has happened, there are many of the protests from the political parties, and even the Madras High Court, it has directed the center government that they cannot discriminate, that they are giving the reservation under the all India quota to the SCs and STs but not to the OBCs, and it said that you need to come out with the rules that the reservation have to be given to it. And now guys, what has happened, the central government had finally provided that from now onwards, from the next year onwards, the reservations will be given 27% reservation for the OBC and 10% reservation for the EWS into the national quota for the medical seats. Fine. So this all has happened. Now guys, if we just phrase it again, if you have developed any problem, then guys, this particular matter will go like this. Please be very attentive. There are the medical colleges. Into the medical colleges, if you want to take admission, there is an all India test that happens, that is the NEET. Now guys, though the NEET is happening, but guys, what has happened, the state government has reserved many of the seats for their own resident candidates, for their own domicile students. Is it clear? However, if the other students also want to go into some different state, there happens to be a arrangement. This arrangement was started in 1986 with the AIQ scheme, that is the All India quota. It was said that all the states need to keep aside the 15% of the states into the undergraduate courses and the at least 50% of the seats into the PG for the merit based category, and here the students from the other states can also come. So this thing started. Then guys, what had happened after that, the Supreme Court provided in 2007 that within this AQI category, where the students from the different state are coming, here the reservation is to be given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, 15% to scheduled caste and 7.5% to scheduled tribe. This particular thing has happened. Now guys, the reservation was not given to the OBCs but as well as the EWS, though both of them has been given reservation into the adult central level educational institutions. So this was creating a parity, and now the Madras High Court said to the government that such parity will not be allowed, you need to come out with the provisions. And now the central government had notified that okay, within the AIQ category also they will be given the quota. 10% has been given to the EWS and 27% has been reserved for the OBCs. So that is all which has happened here. Now guys, I hope that you have understood it. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article taken up from the Hindu newspaper, it is talking about the visit that has been made by the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken into the India. And guys, on to that particular line, some of the articles are there. We have clubbed all. So here we have clubbed the 3 articles. Now guys, first of all, yesterday also we have discussed the SOS's state visit and what are the key takeaways that are happening. Now guys, into this particular direction, there are some other developments which are there. Now guys, first of all, this particular visit is very much important because of the fact that it will be creating a ground for other high level visits that are scheduled to happen between the India and US into this coming year. For example, there is number 1, the India-US 2+2 foreign ministers and defense ministers meet that is going to happen. So this SOS and the SOS's India visit will be laying ground for it. After that guys, there also is scheduled to happen the Quad summit of the leaders of Australia, US, Japan, and India. Then, guys, the bilateral meeting between the Indian Prime Minister and the US President is also scheduled. So, broad themes will be designed here. Now, guys, it has been provided that though there were many of the areas of convergence, for example, onto the Quad, onto the Indo-Pacific strategy, as well as onto the Afghanistan, there is convergence. All the countries believe that the rule-based order is needed to be carried. In Afghanistan, the regime by the force should not be established by the Taliban. However, apart from the areas of convergence, guys, there are the areas of divergence that have been seen into this particular meet. Now, what are these grounds? Number one, guys, the US withdrawal, which has been carried abruptly. India is having a reservation for that. It means that the region will be less secure, and India is not very much happy with the US approach into the Afghanistan. Then, guys, the next divergence that has come here is that US is continuing to engage with the Taliban into the power sharing agreement, but at the same time Taliban is using the force into the Afghanistan. It had captured the territories. It is not declaring the ceasefire, but still the USA is talking with the Taliban. It will give an indirect message to the Taliban that okay, the affairs that they are carrying, it can continue, and into the long term, it will be creating the instability into the region. So India is not happy with it. Then, guys, the third thing is that USA had also refused to hold Pakistan to account for having given shelter to the Taliban. India wants that a kind of a reprimand should be sent to the Pakistan, but such thing is not being done. Then after that, guys, what has happened? The US had announced a new Quad. Now this is the most irritating aspect. It has introduced a new Quad with the countries such as the Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan onto the connectivity. Now, guys, you might be already knowing, we have yesterday also seen that the Pakistan is participating into the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and this China-Pakistan economic corridor passes from the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and we have never allowed the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Guys, a few days back, the China had also proposed that the China-Pakistan economic corridor should be extended to the Afghanistan so that the connectivity comes. Now, the USA is forming also the new Quad for the connectivity. Now, obviously, guys, a major connectivity project that is passing from the POK, it will also be coming into the picture, and we don't want it. So this is a kind of another irritant. Then, guys, you have already seen into the yesterday's newspaper analysis that Mr. Blinken, he had held a meeting with the civil societies, and it was called as a civil society roundtable. Into this civil society roundtable, many of the issues such as the minority rights, religious freedoms, curbs onto the media, Citizenship Amendment Act, farmer protest, etc. were discussed. Now, this particular thing has not been liked by the government. Moreover, guys, government has also justified the actions taken by them. It has been said that whatever they have done, for example, the change of the status of Jammu and Kashmir, Citizenship Amendment Act, it is just an attempt to right the historical wrongs. And guys, if there are some implication onto the freedoms, it cannot be equated with the lack of governance. This is the government's justification. Now, however, it doesn't seem to be very much compelling. So these are the divergences that have developed. So guys, this is the key takeaway from the Secretary of State's visit into the India. Moreover, guys, yesterday also we have taken a considerable coverage onto it. You can see that also. Now, as all these things had happened, and guys, yesterday when we saw this thing that the US Secretary of State was meeting the civil society roundtable, there the representatives of the Dalai Lama was also there, and yesterday only we have said that this will definitely be frustrating the China, and guys, that particular thing had happened. Now the China had said that the US is meddling in its affairs. Now, friends, as the Antony Blinken, he met with the director of the Bureau of the Dalai Lama, that is Nodub Dongchung, the China had shown reservations for him. China always believed that the Dalai Lama is leading the secessionist movement into the Tibet, and all the representatives of Dalai Lama should not be engaged with. But now, as the Secretary of State had engaged with it, China is not happy with it. Moreover, guys, China had also provided that any form of contact between the US side and the Dalai Lama is a violation of the US commitment to acknowledging Tibet being part of China. Now, guys, earlier US had acknowledged that Tibet is a part of China, and US doesn't support any kind of secessionist movement into the Tibet. So now China says that why then you are meeting the Dalai Lama's representatives if you have believed that the Tibet is the part of the China, so you are carrying a violation of it. Moreover, guys, as now with the China, some different kind of relations are being carried by the India. Some different thing happened last month also. What happened? The Indian Prime Minister, he talked with the Dalai Lama onto the 86th birthday of the Dalai Lama. Now, onto this particular thing, no comment came from the Chinese Foreign Ministry, which is very much strange. However, guys, when we talk about the aspects with respect to the China and the Dalai Lama, there is one particular more issue that is going on, that what will be the matter onto the succession of the Dalai Lama. Now see, guys, the present Dalai Lama, he will retire and a new Dalai Lama or a new Buddhist monk will be taking the position of the supreme leader. He will become the Dalai Lama. Now who will be that next person into this particular direction, guys? The present Dalai Lama had said that such a decision he will be taking when he will turn 90. Now guys, into this direction, two viewpoints have developed onto the succession. The US wants that there should be no interference from the China, but China says that no, only that person can become Dalai Lama who we will allow or who we will be vetting out. So this is a kind of a new confrontation also, which might be opening up into the years to come. Now guys, into this particular direction, we can see that the US had also passed the Tibet Policy Support Act, and into this it has been provided that Washington would oppose any move by Beijing to interfere into the succession or identification of Tibetan Buddhist lamas, including the Dalai Lama. So guys, this might be a new ground for confrontation, and now the confrontation has already been seen when the Secretary of State met the representative of the Dalai Lama. So guys, these are some of the irritants between these three countries. You need to keep all of them into your mind so that you can have a better understanding onto the international relations. So that is all about this article. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2 under the topics related to the vulnerable sections of country and the steps that government should take for them. Now guys, this particular article provides that the July 30, it is going to be the United Nations World Day Against Trafficking in Person. Now guys, the UN World Day Against Trafficking in Person, first of all, it was declared in 2013 by the United Nations General Assembly because it believed that we need to have such a designated day so that awareness against the human trafficking can be enhanced. Further guys, when we talk about this particular year's World Day Against Trafficking in Person, its theme is Victims' Voices Leads the Way. It is highlighting the importance of listening to the victims and learning the lessons from the survivors who have faced the trafficking. Now guys, when we talk about the Indian conditions, guys, it has been provided that the trafficking record of India has not been very much good, and there are many of the incidents. For example, between April 2020 and June 2021, 9,000 children have been rescued after being trafficked for the labor. This particular thing points that at least 21 children have been trafficked every day for nearly 15 months. Now guys, so many children being trafficked, it shows that the protection to these vulnerable sections have not been very much adequate. Moreover guys, it has also been seen that over 2,000 children have arrived at the shelter homes and 800 have rescued from hazardous working conditions. So again guys, this thing shows that the congenial conditions for the children are not there. Now guys, when we talk about the India's vulnerability into the recent times, there are also the issues there where we have seen that children as young as 12, they are working into the factories even when the India is having the Prevention of Child Labor Act, which got amended in 2016 also. Further guys, it has been provided that the child marriages are also rampant, and over 1 lakh cases of child marriages have been tracked between April and August 2020. In just brief time, so much of the child marriages have been seen. Then guys, it has been provided that according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, it has been provided that now traffickers are taking a unique advantage into the times of pandemic in order to lure the children. What they are resorting to? They are resorting to the cyber trafficking. Now guys, what happens here? Now we have seen that there is economic distress, and into economic distress, livelihoods have been lost, and now even the children, the youth, they are looking for the livelihood opportunities. Many times they are interacting onto the social media sites. Now guys, through the social media sites, the traffickers, they are luring the youth as well as they are luring the children, and then they are pushing them into the trafficking. Moreover, guys, they are also going into agreement with the parents of the children, the parents who are poor. They tell them that they will be given the jobs, and then they are landed into the trafficking, sex rackets, etc. So guys, the families reduced capacities have been a particular problem into the times of pandemic. Moreover, guys, many of the children, they have lost the parental care because their guardians, their parents, they might have died because of the COVID-19, and therefore the vulnerability of the people have become even more. Now guys, into this particular capacity, it has been provided that there are substantial gaps which are also existing into the India's enforcement. For example, the government itself had admitted in 2021 that it does not maintain any national level data specific to the cyber trafficking cases. So it is a kind of a loophole. Then guys, it has been provided by the US Department of State that India is a tier 2 country in its report with respect to the global human trafficking. We doesn't maintain a record, we don't take enforcement initiatives, so therefore we are the tier 2 country. Moreover, it has been provided, guys, that into the India there is no proper implementation of the initiative that was taken by the government, that is establishing the anti-human trafficking units. Now guys, it was provided that these anti-human trafficking units, they were the specialized district task forces which will comprise the policemen and the government officials, and they will track the cases of the human trafficking. They will solve those kind of cases. Now, it was envisaged way back in 2010 that 330 AHTUs, that is the anti-human trafficking units, were to be established. And guys, as 2020 had come, we have seen that just 225 AHTUs only onto the paper has been established. On functional ground, they are not there. So guys, this is one of our major loopholes. Then guys, what has happened? Now government has admitted that they will be soon be coming with the draft anti-trafficking bill. Now this anti-trafficking bill onto the face looks a good initiative, but guys, fundamental problems are also here also. First of all, it is the issue that into the context of India, the policy is not a problem. We have so much of the policies on so many of the things. The problem is the implementation. Now guys, this new bill, it provides for the AHTUs, committees at the national level, state level, district level, but already we have seen that the AHTUs are there from 2010, but the formation onto the ground has not been there. So guys, just these fancy provisions will not be bringing much of the good thing. Then guys, it has been said that if we see, there are the 140 people who were charged of the trafficking which have been acquitted, and just 38 have been convicted in 2019. So much low conviction rate points out that often the enforcement investigation is not very much effective. So onto that also something was to be done, but into the bill no provisions are there. Then guys, it has been provided that if properly staffed and funded, AHTUs could provide crucial ground level data onto the methods and patterns of the traffickers, much could be done. So making these AHTUs, giving them the accountability and giving them the financial resources becomes an important thing. After that, guys, it has been seen that global practices from Nigeria and Africa, if we see, then guys, they have focused more on the protecting women and children by incentivizing the education and by creating the safe employment workplaces. So into India, we also need to focus on it. Then guys, further it has been provided that basically this particular draft anti-trafficking persons bill goes on board also. It has provided, for example, that whenever there will be the trafficking incidents, they will be investigated by the NIA, that is the National Investigating Agencies. Now into this particular capacity, a problem comes. Number one is that whether the NIA has the capacity to deal with all these cases, because NIA is already very much burdened. Secondly, what will be the mandate of the state enforcement agencies? So that is a problem here. Then guys, it has been provided that the death penalty has also been provided into some of the cases. Now this thing might go overboard, and guys, sometimes in order to erase the traces, the people who have been trafficked, there might be some kind of a more heinous treatment will be given to them, so that they don't tell the identity of the people who trafficked them. So this is not a good thing. So these are some of the issues which have been there. So guys, here it has been provided that now the July 30, as we are celebrating the United Nations World Day Against Trafficking in Person, some concrete steps needed to be taken by the government. So guys, that is all which have been provided into this particular article. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken up from the Hindu newspaper, and it will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2, the issues unfolding into the neighborhood. Now see guys, this particular article, it is a type of a question answer or a kind of an interview where the viewpoints have been taken onto the status of Taliban on the Afghanistan. So guys, we will be taking up what has happened here. Now guys, into this particular article, many of the informal phrases, informal references have also been there, which you don't need to clearly take down as a part of your UPSC preparation. Now guys, broadly, this particular article we can break into 5 questions which are there. Number 1, could Kabul fall? Could Afghanistan as a state fall to Taliban? No guys, into this particular capacity, what has happened recently, a report was there into the USA where it was said that the way in which the Taliban is operating now, within 6 months the Afghanistan government will fall. Now into this particular thing, that guys, there is some merit also, because guys, we have seen that the Afghan security forces, they have fled to the nearby countries also when the Taliban was making inroads. Moreover guys, more than 35% of the territory of Afghanistan has been captured. So this particular thing looks that it can happen. But guys, on to the other hand, if we see, the Taliban has majorly restricted to the rural areas. It has not reached to the major urban centers, and there the Afghan security forces, they are standing strong and they are deterring the Taliban. Now guys, it has been provided that next 6 to 8 months are very much crucial. If within these 6 to 8 months, if Afghan security forces, they fight with the Taliban effectively, and if they keep them only into the rural areas, particularly towards the north and the west, and if they don't come towards the urban center, then we can say that the Afghanistan government will stabilize and might be able to sail through this particular situation. So guys, the next 6 to 8 months are very much crucial to decide it. Moreover, within these 6 to 8 months, even the complete pullout of the USA will also happen. So we need to wait and watch. Then next guys comes that could there be a better deal to deal with this Afghanistan situation? Now guys, we have seen that the America, it signed the Doha peace deal with the Taliban, and after the Doha peace deal, now the America is leaving. So one viewpoint has been generated that the America's withdrawal has been a hurried process. They have not taken all the viewpoints. So into this particular thing guys, it has been said that in 2012 also USA tried to pull out from the Afghanistan, but at that point of time the Hamid Karzai government, they provided this thing very clearly that you cannot talk with the Taliban onto the equal footing, because then it will delegitimize the elected Afghan government. So Taliban cannot be given a kind of a legitimacy. At that point of time, the USA was not that much interested also, and that the talks, they stopped. But now guys, in 2018-19, the Donald Trump showed much interest into the Afghanistan, and he finally signed the Doha peace deal with the Taliban. Now guys, here we need to understand this thing that here USA wanted to withdraw anyhow. It is because of the reason that now USA had envisaged the China as a rising force, and the China threat is very much huge. So now if the USA wants to focus on to the China, it needs to withdraw from the Afghanistan so that resources can be saved, and those resources could be oriented onto the China. So now withdrawing was the only option. Moreover guys, we have seen that the deal is not very much better. Moreover, it was not even expected, because from the very start the USA's mission into the Afghanistan was not to develop the Afghanistan into a thriving democracy, but it was to counter the terrorism. And guys, often onto the different occasions, there have been the differences in opinions also that what will be the future of Afghanistan, but never a serious thought has been given, and now they are just going. So it was not even expected that they will be doing something responsible here. Then guys, the next comes that what is the India's interest into the Afghanistan. So India's interests are huge. For example, number 1 guys, if there will be the instability into the Afghanistan, then the spillover effects of terrorism will be coming on to the India. Secondly guys, we have done more than $3 billion of investment into the Afghanistan. If there will be the instability, all such kind of things will go into a jeopardy. Then guys, thirdly, if in Afghanistan Taliban will become more strong, then guys, the Taliban and Pakistan, they can form a nexus, which will again be problematic for the India. So therefore India wants that the Afghanistan should be stabilized. There needs to be a democratically elected government which follows the rule of law. After that guys comes that should India talk with the Taliban in this particular region so that our interest would be secured. So it has been provided that yes, India should talk. Fine. Why India should talk? Number one, it has been provided that, guys, now there is a credible evidence that Taliban might become a stakeholder. There is an evidence that the Afghanistan government might fall in next coming months. And if that thing happens, if Taliban comes to power, so India needs to talk if we want that our interests are not threatened. Then secondly, it has been provided that, guys, Taliban itself has always been interested in talking with the India. So India needs to leverage that thing. It has already been seen, guys, from 1996 to 1998. Many a times the Taliban gave an indication that it wants to talk with the India so that India can recognize it and the Taliban's legitimacy can improve. Moreover, guys, thirdly, we should also talk with the Taliban. The reason comes into this particular direction is this, that see, Taliban is now not such a kind of a very small organization. It will be playing at the equal footing with the Pakistan, and even it will also try to undermine the Pakistan. So into this particular capacity, Taliban can be leveraged to get a control over the Pakistan. So these are the things that we should talk with the Taliban. And guys, even the China had openly started to talk, Russia is talking, so India should not be left behind in the race. Then guys, the final question which was there is that what needs to be the scope of these political talks. Now guys, the scope of these political talks clearly needs to be this, that how the rule based peaceful rule can be established into the Taliban, and how the human rights of the people, including the girls and other minorities, can be upheld. So guys, these are all the discussions that have been made into this particular article. Guys, I hope that you have understood it, and guys, if you are following our newspaper analysis regularly, these things have happened earlier also. So this is in a way summary of all the issues that are there into the Afghanistan. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about a breakthrough that has been taken place in order to implement the new education policy 2020. Yesterday also, guys, we have seen article into this particular direction, so you can call it as a continuation into that line only. Now we have seen that the new education policy 2020 is the biggest educational reform that has come in more than 34 years, and guys, it has announced the education reforms for both the school as well as higher level education. Now into this particular capacity, guys, the Prime Minister has announced that at least 14 engineering colleges into the 8 states, they are going to start the engineering studies into the 5 Indian languages, that is the Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi and Bangla. So guys, now what has done, it has always been provided that if regional languages, if native languages will be used to provide the education, then much more masses can come into the umbrella of education. Now guys, within the engineering, providing the education into the Indian languages will be paving a very good way. Then secondly, guys, it has been provided that the AICTE, that is the All India Council of Technical Education, it is creating a database of the resources so that the colleges can offer even more program into the regional languages, the study material, etc. Such a database is being created. Moreover, guys, the AICTE, it is also developing a tool so that the engineering courses could be translated into more than 11 languages. So guys, providing the engineering education through the vernaculars, through the Indian languages is being promoted here under the NEP, and the works has also been started. You can see this. Then guys, it has also been provided that it will be helping particularly to the students who are not fluent into the English, so therefore the more social justice will be achieved. Then guys, further it has been provided that the Indian sign languages have been introduced as a regular language into the secondary schools. It will promote the inclusivity for speech and hearing challenge students. Then guys, after that, a 4-hour training program has also been designed onto the artificial intelligence, and it has been developed combinedly by the CBSE and the Intel, and it will be helping in driving the digitally driven economy. So guys, these are some of the steps that have been taken under the NEP. So guys, if a question comes that what government is doing it, so this is what government has achieved. You can use it into your answers related to the GS paper number 2, social justice education. So that is all about this particular article, guys. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is talking about an important phenomena, that is the crowding out effect. Now see, what is this crowding out effect? We will understand it. Guys, see, when the government excessively borrows the money from the market, how government borrows? First of all, government will basically, on to the behalf of government, actually RBI will be selling the securities to the banks and the financial institutions. Now the banks and financial institutions, they will buy, and in return they will give the money. it has been provided that when government borrows more and more, so much of money is taken from the banks that actually banks left with very less money, and the private sector, if it wants to borrow, then there will be no money left. So this is called as the crowding out effect, and always it has been said that this will be a problem if government goes for excessive borrowing. No, guys, it has been provided as a kind of a genuine concern by the Securities and Exchange Board of India that the government's borrowing might lead to a crowding out. But guys, here the chief economic advisor, he had said that no crowding out will happen. It is a kind of a theory which doesn't hold much of the relevance. Rather, there will be a crowding in effect that will happen. It has been provided that as government is borrowing much and much money, that money obviously will be invested back into the economy, which will bring economy back onto the track. By that, the positive investments or the positive sentiments will be created, and even more investments will be coming. So investment will not be restricted, rather more investment will be coming. Moreover, the level of borrowing that has been made, it is not that much that it depletes the entire reserve of money with the bank. So there is no such kind of problem. It has been justified by the CEA. So guys, that is all about this particular article. And guys, these concepts are very much important because into the recent times we have seen that onto the prelims such kind of questions directly are also being asked. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it talks about the V-shaped recovery as well as the K-shaped recovery. Now first of all, what do we mean by this K-shaped recovery? Now guys, it has been provided that now as the pandemic has happened and again we are easing out the lockdown and the economies are opening up, so a K-shaped recovery has been seen. Now guys, it means that the different sectors, they are emerging at a different paces. Rather, some sectors are emerging, some sectors are not emerging, they are going down. Now guys, if you see into the pandemic, the IT sector, the edutech sector, the sector where the work from home is possible, the sector where the digital services are being given, they have increased very much substantially, and because of that we can see that those sectors had registered a growth. However, the informal sector, the MSMEs where the manufacturing was there, work from home was not possible, they are going down. So there is a kind of a distinct K-shaped recovery. That is one case. Then guys, secondly, it has been said that though K-shaped recovery is there, but at the whole, the shape of Indian recovery can also be called as the V shape. That okay, at one time there was a substantial decline, 23.9% negative we went in 2020, and then we have came out of it, and now we are going into a positive trajectory. So overall there is a V-shaped sentiment, but yes, if we talk about the different sectors, K-shaped recovery is also there. This is about the K-shape and V-shape. So guys, these basic concepts you need to know for the examination. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be going to the next article. Now guys, into this particular article, we can see that the USA is talking about the Iran nuclear talks. Now guys, you might be knowing that earlier there was a nuclear agreement that was signed with the Iran that was called as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Under this particular agreement, the Iran was said that you need not to go for the extensive uranium enrichment, you need to reduce your uranium enrichment. Into this return, guys, Iran agreed and said that okay, we will do it. And in return, the sanctions that were imposed onto the Iran, particularly by the USA, they were removed or they were eased. However, guys, the Donald Trump, it said that this joint comprehensive plan of action is very much insufficient. It is not basically addressing all the problems that are with the Iran, and the USA walked out of this joint comprehensive plan of action. And since then, there is no kind of a rigid deal between the Iran and USA onto their nuclear enrichment program. Now guys, basically here the USA is saying that the Iran should come back to the talks. Whereas on to the other hand, Iran also says that the USA should come back onto the talks, but guys, no one is taking the concrete steps. So guys, here just the USA had said that the Iran nuclear talks can't go indefinitely. Something concrete is to be achieved. Iran should show more eagerness. However, when we ask the Iran says US should show the more eagerness. So guys, this is just a kind of an evolving detail that is going on. So just that is not more than that. You need to go into it because it is a kind of a dynamic matter. It will evolve. So that is all. Now we'll be going to the next article. Now guys, here we can see just a kind of a reference that an open letter has been written to the Supreme Court of India, and it has been provided that the Supreme Court of India must declare a moratorium onto the export, sale, transfer and the use of the Pegasus spyware. It has been provided that the expansive snooping scandal that has happened, it doesn't goes well with the democratic fundamental rights that have been given to the citizens. Now guys, here the women's right activist, human right activist, they have wrote an open letter to the Chief Justice of India that there needs to be some kind of a concrete action and it needs to be banned altogether. So that is all which has happened here. So guys, with this we come to an end for today's newspaper analysis. Guys, that is all for today. I hope that you are understanding and you are liking our initiative. Guys, please do spread if you like it. Thank you so much.